What's up, YouTube? This video is going to be basically my journey through doing 23andMe to understand my heritage a little bit more, as well as to understand if I'm predisposed to any medical conditions, because part of the 23andMe kind of reporting touches upon if you have any predispositions to any medical condition. So stick with it all the way to the end, because at the end, I'm going to reveal the results of my heritage. So for the longest time, I wanted to trace my heritage back, and I've been telling my wife that I wanted to, do one of these services that allows you to trace that heritage back. And for Father's Day today, my beautiful wife Noelia got me 23andMe, and we've done this in the past for her, and it was such an awesome experience where she traced her heritage. You basically spit in a vial, you send that vial off to a lab, and within 3 or 4 weeks, they return like a booklet, or you get an email and it tells you exactly where your heritage came from. And what we found out with her was that even though she's of Mexican descent, that her people migrated from Spain to Mexico, and it was super interesting to find out all these little details about her family's heritage. Also, it gave you kind of a breakdown of what diseases and medical kind of conditions you might be predisposed to. And so I'm super excited about this gift. I can't wait for it to come in the mail. I assume it's coming soon, but I'll keep you posted on my results. Super excited. Thanks for the Father's Day gift, babe. Love ya. Good morning, YouTube. June 24th, Tuesday, or actually, I'm sorry, it's Wednesday, and we've hit the middle of the week. Just getting a workout in. Super humid here in South Florida, hanging out in the garage. Excited to see that yesterday evening, my Father's Day gift came, 23andMe. Super excited to do this. So, and look, there's our little guy, Alexander. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Hi. Okay. So, you can see here, this is where you're going to put around the vial after you spit in it. And here's the vial right here. I believe you spit in this vial and you spit to about that line right there. So pretty cool. And then this right here tells you exactly what you need to do. So I'll read these directions. I believe that there's an app, so when you get your results, you'll know exactly what your results are via the application. So what's up, YouTube? So I'm in the process now of kind of registering my 23andMe kit. So basically what they've asked me to do, just so you know, is they've asked me to download an app, which I did on my phone, and then it takes you through a series of questions. And you're saying that you agree to their policies and procedures, and they give you a little book here that kind of takes you through it. It says what it is that's in the packaging. There's some kind of legal stuff here. Then you download the app. And once you download the app, and you're kind of registering your product, so that when you send it off to the lab and they have the results will kind of filter into that application. It says here no food or drink for 30 minutes. So at this point, I'm just trying to give it a little time because I did have lunch not too long ago. And then once, in fact, I'm ready, it tells you basically to spit in this tube here up to this line. Certainly, I'm not going to film myself spitting. It's a little gross. But once you spit up into this line, you close this cap and you put it back into the packaging. And from there, you have to mail it off. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I will keep you posted. See, spit till you fill it up to that line. And then you close the cap. And just so you know, the cap has some type of liquid in it, which I guess somehow mixes with your saliva to keep it, I guess a certain way for traveling. And then from there, you're going to take the little cap and screw the cap on, and which also comes in the packaging, which right there. And you put it in this baggie. You seal this bag, and then you put it back into the packaging that they give you, which I just showed you earlier, and you mail it off. It already has mailing instructions on there. There's nothing more for you to do. And then the last step, of course, is you'll receive an email basically, again, letting you know that your results are in. So I'm excited to do this and share the results with you. Take care. Okay, YouTube, so I spit up into this line, actually a little bit more than this line, and now I'm going to close this cap. I don't know if you could see, but this cap has some type of liquid in it. So basically you close it, it punctures it, and it releases some liquid into your saliva. And I assume that is because when it travels, that somehow there's some preservative in there that assists it with traveling. Okay, I'd say that's a good 5 seconds. Then we have to put this in here. And there's little instructions right on this bag here where now it's telling us to take that off and close this like this. All set. So now I'm ready to send this off to 23andMe's lab. So basically now what it's asking us to do is put this right back in here. Return the sealed plastic bag to the original box, peel the strip, and seal the box closed. So there's a strip here. Take that off. There's that strip that I just took off. And I'm gonna put this here, and I'm closing this nice and tight. And you can see it's already no postage required. Everything's ready to go. It looks like this is United States Postal Service. So simply I'm gonna head over to my local post office and drop this in. So what's up, YouTube? Finally, here we are for my results of my 23andMe heritage test. And with complete honesty, I did look at all of this before because I didn't want to bore you to death with it. But, I got my results rather quickly. And of course, there was a couple things that I was super interested in understanding. Number one was the Ancestry, and then number two was the health traits. So we're just going to get right into the Ancestry overview. And really, what I learned here is that it's pretty much more or less consistent with what my family had kind of believed and told me on my father's side. We're 100% Italian, which makes me about 50% Italian. So what it's showing here is that I'm 57.7% Italian. And, I have to be honest, at 23andMe, the level of detail is just shocking. I mean, if you see here, and again, I checked this out earlier, it even has, the actual regions in Italy with you know, in the forefront being Sicily. I did have a sense of that. My grandparents on my father's side did track our heritage. They went to Sicily and kind of learned about the Buscemi family heritage. So and they traced it back to Sicily, as not using 23andMe, but physically going there and speaking to people and so forth. So it really comes as no surprise that Sicily is the primary place or origin of my father's side of the family. But it's just really interesting. I mean, like, you click on this, it'll take you to the various parts: Calabria, Campania, Lazio, and so forth and so on. I mean, just really interesting stuff. So 57.7% Italian. What's also interesting to know is I had no idea that I had any, French or German in me at all. But apparently there's and I guess this North Rhine, Westphalia, whatever that means, or wherever that is where I have some blood roots. So super interesting to know that I have, I guess it says French and German here, but it's really German or from Germany. So 3% German. Interesting stuff. Another very interesting thing here is that it's suggesting that I have Greek and Balkan roots. Now, as you can see, it says we're working to identify a more detailed report, but I was very interested to find that it states that I have Greek and Balkan roots. So just reading here, the Balkan Peninsula is nestled in the southeastern corner of Europe and serves as a geographic and genetic crossroads between Europe and Western Asia. Despite broad cultural and religious diversity, the people of the Balkans are generally similar to one another, descending from early Mediterranean and Slavic peoples. Island Greeks lack this ancestral Slavic influence and are similar to Southern Italian. So I had no idea, zero idea, that I had any Greek background or any Slavic background, but very interesting to know. And when we click on this total composition, it also kind of gets a little bit more detailed, and this is where it starts to make a little bit more sense. Eastern European, let's click on it real quick, but this is where on my mother's side there's Russian background. Between the 18th and 20th centuries, Eastern Europe was heavily influenced by Imperial and then Soviet Russia. But the generic heritage of Eastern Europe traces back to peoples living in southeast of the Baltic Sea. So, I did understand my heritage to be Russian and Lithuanian, and this, I think, is kind of tracking back to that Russian and Lithuanian heritage that my mother describes when I speak to her. Northern West Asian, roughly bounded by Anatolia in the west to Iran in the east. Northern West Asia has a shared generic heritage going back tens of thousands of years. Domestication of grains and livestock emerged 11,000 years ago in this region, sparking the agricultural revolution that spread to parts of Europe, Africa, and other Asian parts. So you can see I have some sprinklings of other things here, but predominantly European, mainly Italian, with what's showing to be Greek and Balkan roots, and Southern European roots, and then even some German roots. So super interesting stuff. I mean, one thing as a child, and then of course you learn from your parents, but then you do something like this and you see exactly where your blood is traced, or your DNA, I should say, is traced back to. Another super interesting thing, but a little disappointing if I'm being honest, is that through 23andMe, they literally trace your DNA relatives. And I looked in here already, and I'm going to show you, but it says that I have one close relative and over 1,300 kind of second, third, fourth, fifth cousins. But wow. I mean, if more people kind of did this, you would really have a family tree that's made up if every single person did a 23andMe type DNA test. But this gentleman, Angelo Tobia, is my second cousin and shares 5.27% of DNA. And then, I mean, there's a laundry list of over 30. It goes over 54 pages here. It's just shocking that you could connect with people all over the world. You could even get notifications from them and send notifications to them. You know, it tells you where my ancestors were born. You could see Lithuania. I mean, all over the world, all over the world. Just super, super interesting stuff. But the large majority of them were born in the United States and Italy. Wow, just super, super amazing. You could get connected with the people that are on here that share your DNA heritage, family names, just super interesting stuff here. Another thing that I was very, very interested was, of course, am I predisposed to any health conditions? And, basically this is the overview page where, kind of like the dashboard, if you will, and then you have the health predisposition. And I went right to this, of course, and I was super pleased to, there was a couple things that really interested me. Number one was Alzheimer's disease. My grandmother suffered, from Alzheimer's disease. It was very hard on our family, especially my mother, to watch her kind of cognitively slip away. My mother cared for her, into her very last days, never once abandoning her. But, because of that kind of family history, I was concerned that I might too have that history. But as you can see here, that that variant is not detected. In fact, neither is Parkinson's disease. There is a typical likelihood of type 2 diabetes, and that makes a little sense. My father is kind of borderline diabetic. His mother was borderline diabetic, but when I clicked on this, I was very happy to see that I only have a 27% likelihood of type 2 diabetes. I live a very healthy life, so perhaps I'm mitigating against this likelihood by exercise, eating well, and doing all the right things in life. So another thing that showed here that I have age-related macular degeneration risk. And of course, obviously, if you have that risk, you're going to click here. And I read through, basically age-related macular degeneration is the most common cause of irreversible vision loss among older adults. I have one of the two generic variants that they tested. Living a healthy life, surrounded by loved ones, and, exercise, good diet, all those things will help mitigate against any of these diseases. But I was very pleased to see, and I went through every one of these. I won't bore you, but I went through every single one of these. Celiac, a lot of people have that gluten situation or celiac disease, which, I mean, what a terrible thing to live with. Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, this is lung type stuff, or COPD, predisposition to COPD. And then some other kind of cardiovascular things are in here. But I was very pleased and very happy to see that in most of the cases that the variants were not detected. Just going back, carrier status. Again, when I looked here, I was so happy to see that. I mean, the list goes on and on and on here. But variant not detected, every single one of these kind of, I guess, these are carriers for certain types of diseases. But cystic fibrosis, which is a lung thing, if I understand correctly, it's a rare genetic disorder characterized by impaired lung and digestive function. A person must have two variants in the CFTR gene in order to have this condition. I only have one. Obviously, I don't have cystic fibrosis, but when you look at the list, super happy to find that I don't have any, in large part, I don't have any of the variants that would lead to these types of diseases. Wellness, find out how your DNA may affect your body's response to diet, exercise, and sleep. This one, so, when I drink, I'm 42 years old. I'm at the point now that if I have like a drink or two, maybe I'll wake up with a little bit of a headache. The next day is not as easy as a day in which I haven't drank the night before. So I always thought that perhaps I might have some type of alcohol allergy or whatever, or something where my body doesn't digest alcohol as easily as others. But I was very interested and curious to see that I'm unlikely to flush. Now, alcohol flush reaction might be something very specific, but it says, James, based on your genetics, you are unlikely to flush after drinking alcohol. But let me just say, if I drink more than 2 drinks, it's a nightmare for me. It seems as if alcohol affects me in a very, very negative way. I was also interested to see deep sleep. It says that I'm more likely to be a deep sleeper. I am notorious for not being a deep sleeper. My wife, God bless her, has had to deal with my kind of sleeping habits and being a very light sleeper. I take after my father, who's always been a light sleeper. I definitely suffer from some type of anxiety disorder because I'm constantly thinking, which affects my sleep. But as it relates to my DNA reflects that I'm more likely to be a deep sleeper. I will say that if there's nothing going on in my life that creates anxiety, that I do sleep very well, but in large part, I'm a very light sleeper. Many people that know me and have known me over the years know that I was an athlete my entire life. I was interested to see this here, muscle composition. Studies have found that almost all elite power athletes, including sprinters, throwers, and jumpers, have a specific genetic variant in a gene related to muscle composition. James, your genetic muscle composition is uncommon in elite power athletes. I mean, I was a high-level athlete for many years in my youth, up until college. Many people who know me, know that history, but I didn't make it to the next level. So perhaps this is accurate. Let's see what else. Lactose intolerance, likely intolerant. I cannot stand milk. If I drink milk, I almost have a gag reflex. The only time I will ever have any milk is in my coffee, or I may, on rare occasion, have cereal, but I'm not really drinking the milk. It's almost just kind of in there to wet the cereal. So, I mean, if you haven't done this, I think you should, because it's just unbelievably interesting to see what you're predisposed to see your history, and in many cases to be connected to other people that share your DNA. Lastly, and I won't continue to bore you, these are some of the traits based on my DNA that I'm likely to have or not likely to have. But ability to match musical pitch, less likely to be able to match a musical pitch. Anyone who's ever been with me in a karaoke situation will know that when I start singing karaoke, literally the party starts to end, because I am so terrible at singing that it is just painful for all of those in the room. If I sing in the car with my children, they're begging me to stop, and on a for their ear. So I completely agree with this. Interesting here, bald spot. Likely no bald spot. I absolutely do have a bald spot. I would consider myself at 42 to be slightly balding. Let's see what else. Early hair loss, likely hair loss. That makes sense. Eye color, likely blue or green eyes. That's absolutely correct. Fear of heights, less likely than average to be afraid of heights. I'm terrified of heights. I literally almost start shaking in fear. Flying is terrible for me. you know, I have a tremendous fear of heights, fear of public speaking. I've had to speak in front of large audiences many, many times in my career and in my life. And though I do get through it, it is extremely difficult for me. I don't know if that goes back to like my anxiety, but it says here that I'm less likely to have fear of public speaking. But, look, there's so many things here that you can learn about yourself. And I just want to share some of them with you. And, super, super interesting stuff. And if you haven't done this, I would absolutely urge you to do it because you could learn a tremendous amount. One of the things that I'm a little disappointed in, again, is I wish that I could find more relatives that I have a close, like almost second or third generation, second cousin or third cousin type connection to. It seems that everyone that's done this is like a fifth or sixth cousin, with the exception of one gentleman. But that would be super cool to have connected with people that are really my family, and I didn't know that they would be my family. So anyway, that's my 23andMe report. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do.